Lindsay Gamble here, HITP Music, Hard in the Paint. As always, we're at Mass Apparel, and keeping our interview series going, we have Avenue here.
What's going on?
How you doing, man?
I'm alright, man.
It's always good to see you.
Pleasure. It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely. I remember
Since we sat down.
Yeah, the first interview was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
As always, we're always trying to keep, making things better. Your career's progress. What we're doing at HITP is definitely improved.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Chandelier view out.
Yeah.
And finally, after a few years.
Yeah, because the last time we met, we was talking.
Yeah.
That was like the beginning stages of it. So to actually have it done.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you feel just having it out after like this, year and a half or 2 years of just, working on it and really perfecting it?
It's definitely a sigh of relief, finally getting it out. It was a process. I also took one because I wanted to.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything else. But just because I wanted to take my time with it, and then like halfway through it, I wanted to like bring more producers on, because everybody knows I started off with High Fidelity, where we locked in and really we did about like 10 to 12 records. You know what I'm saying? But I felt like the sound was kind of like too repetitive, so I wanted to like reach out to different producers that I feel like would make sense on the project, but still complement his sound, because he structured and sculpted the whole sound for the tape. So.
True.
That was part of it.
That is true, because I remember it was supposed to be entirely produced by High Fidelity, but you got Nova on there, you got Dutchy. It's kind of funny. I didn't realize you worked with them, and I actually started supporting them on the blog and whatnot. You got Latrell on there, so you really still have a cohesive sound, and it really still flows together. But you do have some diversity on there. It's a kind of a lengthy mixtape. What was really the process of like actually putting it together? Because as we said before, like you obviously probably had like an original version back when you originally wanted to put it out, and this new version that's really well received. Just talk about like the process of switching tracks out, if you did, and just packaging it together.
Really just picking out records that made sense. I wanted to make sure that the project as a whole was cohesive. So the first record, whatever the lead up record was, had to complement the record that it was leading up to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like for example, we start off with Kid with the Half Moon Haircut, and then go into Silent Prayer. So Kid with the Half Moon Haircut is just a kid that's like innocent, and then the Silent Prayer is like the kid falling into everything that he was watching before. You know what I'm saying? And as the story goes on, he starts to get more and more in depth into like the street life. Yeah,
for sure. It is a nice story, and I think it's dope because it really tells your story, which is the most important thing with music. People just think it's all about lyrics and having good production, but like especially for me, like I listen to tons of music, and the music that I love is music that I can connect with, even if it's not the same thing, like as far as being in the streets or whatnot, but you can still connect to it from like just going through issues. Absolutely. And your project definitely does that, and I think I really like how you kind of have tracks that are it's street oriented, but then you have tracks like Summer Breeze and Friday, so they're all very different. What was your process of really you're telling your story, but to really like put it to make it flow together as far as the guest appearances and whatnot?
For me, it's usually like I usually go based off of like the production. Like whatever, like I always say whatever I feel like makes sense. But like for example, I knew like with Friday, and this just works hand in hand because I'm like telling my story of me being a kid. But like Friday alone was like, when I got the beat from Latrell, he had the introduction with Smokey on it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I like, and it just automatically came to mind. I'm like, as a kid growing up, like Friday was like one of my favorite movies. Like that's it. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like, it was almost like that was like the first movie I feel like at that time that portrayed the hood in a comical sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I wanted to lighten up the mood of the tape, because it starts off like pretty like dark. I wanted to lighten it up and bring that aspect. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like personally it would make sense to have Christmas doing it where he could actually keep up with his lyrical content, but he could also bring humor to it and wittiness. So like that's one example. For like records like 99, it's just like Dion, you know, that's my homie. So like we locked in, and he had a great influence on that record. So I figured it made sense to have him on there.
For sure.
You know, so.
A big part of your rollout was, you know, visuals throughout the last couple of months, but throughout the years, you know, because I Love My came out a while ago.
A long
and it's still one of those classic, you know, music videos. It's definitely one of the better ones I've seen in the last few years. Just talk about the importance of visuals to you and, you know, just your music and everything else.
Yo, now it's like with music, it's like things die down pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it's like every week you gotta deal with either something being hyped up or something being dumbed down or kind of like forgotten about. So like for example, like with me, I just known that I would be able to stretch and rebuild anticipation with visuals. You know what I'm saying? Like when we did the Trap Vogue tape, that was really just to inch towards people bringing me back up, because that was like the first body of work that I probably put out since like summer '91, and those are like a year apart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like I kind of wanted to use that as a tool to be able to get Dion back out, because Dion hasn't put out material in a while. Introduce people to Slum, and then get my name back rolling. You know, so like with that, the plan was to release that, stretch the visuals from there, but also bring in visuals from the actual Chandelier view. So it's kind of like you're not paying attention to where or which tape the visuals are coming from. You're just being appreciative and receptive of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
Talk about you mentioned the previous tapes, Words Speak Life and the Summer '99 compilation. Just talk about your growth from like what were some of the things that you want to work on or improve on with the Chandelier view compared to like those previous projects.
Well, the thing with the thing with Words Speak Life was that was like a test tape. So we played with like a lot of like different sounds or whatever sounds were kind of like relevant then, and then whatever sounds were relevant to us, and then we put it out, and then we sat down with it, and you know we paid attention on like social media whenever we linked up with people, radio, whatever the case may be, to figure out what songs people gravitated to the most, you know, and the records that people gravitated to the most was like I had the record with Tanya, Standing. That was a record that people liked a lot. The introduction record, Force My Hand.
Yeah.
And these are all records.
Record.
These are all records that are like about me, like personally about my story. So I knew like moving forward, I had to like attack that lane and really work on like the art of storytelling, you know. So like within the late stages of finishing up the actual Words Speak Life tape, I had to lock back and reference to like older music, you know what I'm saying, or watch a couple movies and stuff like that, and kind of use that to help me display my story, you know what I'm saying. So and the same thing with Summer of '91. I gave you a period of my life, but with the Chandelier view, with it being a full body of work, I wanted to give you like a run through of my life up until today.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that was like storytelling. Like Summer Breeze is like real descriptive.
Yeah, that's like some of your best work when it comes to storytelling.
Yeah, you know, so I've worked on that and locked in on that and perfected it. I got a lot of wrinkled up papers that I throw in the trash, and you know what I'm saying, but just trying to be more descriptive and better with like wording and stuff like that.
So it's funny, you know, Summer Breeze, I remember we booked you for A Good Life, like way back.
Yeah.
We were throwing shows with Justin. But you actually, for that performance, you sat down. And that was something that I remember talking to you about, or somehow we started talking about it, or something that you got from Jay-Z. So obviously, you know, if anyone listens to your music or just, you know, watches your timeline or just interacts with you, you know, Jay-Z's a big influence, and I think I would say along with Nas and I think Dipset too. I might be wrong, but I know you definitely reference them.
Absolutely.
Talk about just those influences, because they're very New York.
Yeah.
But your music doesn't. I mean, it gravitates. It's similar to all of them in a sense, but it's still your, you know, still Avenue sound.
Yeah. If you listen to anything that I do, it's more so like I usually play with like jazzy beats.
Yeah.
Another big influence on me is like the Motown era music.
Okay.
So my father was like huge on it, and then my mother also had a good ear for it. So like just growing up listening to that, like on a regular basis, I got introduced to hip hop by my sister. So when I'm like 3 or 4, she's playing all of these records, and you know all of these. I'm like 6, and you know Reasonable Doubt, Illmatic was already released. You know what I'm saying? And, like this is all that I'm listening to. Fast forward to '98, then it's like Lauryn Hill and the Fugees. You know what I'm saying? Then as I start getting older and like my own experiences, that's when like the Dipset and the early Rockefeller whole thing came on. So like that was all that I was listening to up until then. You know what I'm saying? Like that was it, just Motown and that. So that's like what I know the most. So I'm highly influenced by them. And like even like how I structure my tape, like picking out tracks and stuff like that, I always reference back to like Come Home With Me. It Was Written as my favorite Nas tape, so I always reference back to that. And
you don't always hear that when everyone picks Illmatic.
It Was Written as my favorite, and then one of my favorite J tapes is American Gangster. So I definitely, when I was picking out records, I paired it with American Gangster, really. You know what I'm saying? So he starts off with Pray, and it's like kind of like telling you that story of how somebody's seeing something. So I started off with Half Moon Haircut, but I made Silent Prayer the second record. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I piggybacked off of how he lined up his records.
Cool. I'll definitely have to go back and listen to that.
Go back, man. Go back.
So a lot of your music's based on you growing up in the Lower Roxbury, South End, and being in the streets. Obviously at some point as an artist you have to develop and kind of expand topics. What type of you're a father now, so it's definitely life is a little different. Yeah. Do you think there's gonna be an issue with you kind of expanding beyond kind of your early years?
Not at all. Like if you listen to my music, like listen to like Words Speak Life and stuff like that, I've been able to do other stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just with this I'm comfortable with it. You know what I'm saying? But I could definitely branch out and do other stuff. So now with me getting this project out the way, where I was just focused on catering to that one sound. Now I'm gonna be pulling in and reaching out to more and more producers. Dope. Like I really bounce off of whatever the producers send me, whatever the beats tell me. You know what I'm saying? So you're definitely gonna be hearing some new sounding, some new type of avenue stuff.
For sure, it was dope to see you switch it up on the trap roll. Yeah. And people don't. I think some people kind of estimate. They know you're a great story writer and lyricist. But I think some people kind of sleep on your actual rapping skills. But you just came off of Shade 45. And,
every now and then.
Put on a phenomenal performance with spitting some rhymes. And any other kind of cipher and radio interview I've seen you. Yeah. You always come with the heat. So hopefully we can see a little more of that in the future.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. I'm not letting up, man. I got a lot of stuff in it, a lot of things in it about the action rather than talking.
Yeah, for sure. That's the way to really do it. What else? So what can we expect for the next couple of weeks? Next month? You got a show later this summer?
Visuals, we're doing the Boston Music Fest, the Boston Hip Hop Music Fest with Leeds. It's gonna be at the Middle East, and that's July 11th. Yeah. July 11th. Yeah, that's a dope lineup. Yeah. That lineup is
the representation of what we got in town.
That lineup is crazy. It's dope though because I've seen Slain in passing, but I never really met him, and I never shared a stage with Term. You know what I'm saying? And those are dudes that they have a different fan base.
It's gonna be an interesting crowd.
It's gonna be an interesting.
Weekends too, man. It's gonna be.
It's gonna be a great blend, and it's gonna be dope for everybody though, because everybody's gonna bring in their own crowd, and everybody's gonna be able to build off of everybody else's fan base, which is dope. Which is what it's all about. For sure. Unifying the energies here. You know what I'm saying? The outlets are here, so.
Sure, it's definitely gonna showcase the diversity here. Yeah. But man, I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
It's always good talk,
it's been a while, man.
I know it was. We finally got it out.
And you guys got the best fucking reviews and write-ups.
You gotta shout out to Eric, man. I retired from the full reviews.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Eric, man.
He's really
he got the best reviews, man. Ever. I always look forward to reading his shits, man, because blogs or whatever, they just write whatever you send them, man.
That's dope, man. We're trying to just really do it with the interviews and reviews and really, keep doing what we initially wanted to do in the beginning and spotlight the talent here and, just build with them throughout the years. So you're definitely one dude that we're going to, be working with and supporting and everything else. So thank you once again, man.
No doubt. Pleasure.
Lindsey Gamble here, HITP Music, Mass Apparel, Avenue.
Yeah.
Make sure you get the Chandelier view.